Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. So I want to talk for a minute about Jamal Khashoggi, the quote-unquote journalist who was apparently executed by the Saudi government recently. I say quote-unquote journalist because although he was a Washington Post columnist, he was also a member of one of Saudi Arabia's most powerful families. Khashoggi was an aristocrat, a political actor. The Washington Post didn't hire him because they liked the style of his prose. Now, I'm going to preface what I'm going to say next by saying that I don't know much about Jamal Khashoggi. For all I know, he was a perfectly nice guy that didn't deserve to be tortured and killed. Having said that, the media and political circus surrounding Jamal's death is fucking unbearable. The fact is that almost nobody cares about Jamal Khashoggi. The hysterical reaction to his murder did not come from some deep sense of morality and justice. Talking heads on CNN and MSNBC and psychopathic politicians are not morally outraged by this incident. The Saudis have done and continue to do far worse things than kill a member of some aristocratic family in what is likely some sort of palace intrigue power play. For starters, the Saudis are brutal autocrats who keep people in line through superstition and violence. Their system of government is straight out of the Middle Ages. They literally crucify people. They execute people for minor indiscretions. They are an Islamic theocracy. Their ideology is virtually indistinguishable from ISIS. In fact, it's an open secret that they fund ISIS and a myriad of other terrorist organizations all across the world. 15 out of the 19 9/11 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. They are actively infecting Europe with Islamic extremism, and up until now, the American media has pretty much given them a free pass. Up until relatively recently, the only journalists who told the truth about Saudi Arabia were on the so-called far left and the so-called far right. Fringe figures, the type of people that CNN would only ever have on in order to mock. Instead, our so-called free press would fearmonger about Iran, a nation which I'm not a fan of, but is undoubtedly far more civilized and noble than Saudi Arabia, and which poses no serious threat to the citizens of North America and Europe. So why the sudden change of heart in the media and Congress? Why, with the exception of a few figures on the so-called far right, are our political leaders and media truth-tellers suddenly turning against Saudi Arabia, calling for a total reevaluation of the U.S.-Saudi relationship, sanctions, and in some cases even military action? There are two primary reasons, and neither of them have anything to do with our moral leaders' deep concern over Saudi Arabia's quote-unquote human rights violations or flouting of international norms. The first reason is that Khashoggi was one of them. He was an ungodly rich man from one of the world's most powerful states, most powerful families. He was a columnist for the Washington Post, which, as I'm sure many of you know, is owned by Jeff Bezos and is deeply connected to the CIA. Simply put, he was a member of the ruling class. He was one of the select few individuals who get to have a truly significant say in how our world is run. He was a good fella, a made man. The fact that he was murdered, tortured and murdered, and that his murderers will likely never face justice is scaring the shit out of the wretched elitists who control our formerly great nations. Because if it could happen to him, it could happen to them. When Saudi officials were flown out of America by the US government on 9/11, there was silence. When they funded ISIS, there was silence. When they crucified people, there was silence. When they threatened Toronto with a terrorist attack openly, there was silence. When they carried out a genocide in Yemen, there was silence. When they bombed a bus full of children, there was silence. When they funded Islamic extremists in Europe, there was silence. But kill one man who happens to be wealthy and well-connected to the US ruling elite, and, to quote Heath Ledger's Joker, everyone loses their minds. Seeing millionaire psychos and sycophants on CNN and MSNBC feign moral outrage and spout idiotic platitudes about our values is fucking disgusting. The second principal reason for our beloved ruling class's dramatic change of heart vis-a-vis Saudi Arabia is good old-fashioned Machiavellian strategery directed against one Donald J. Trump. President Trump has made a close relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia one of the cornerstones of his foreign policy. Vociferously anti-Trump elites in Congress and the media are trying to wreck Donald Trump's foreign policy by destroying the U.S.-Saudi alliance. As you can probably tell, I'm no Saudi cheerleader, but I do recognize that the loss of Saudi Arabia would perhaps be America's most serious geopolitical catastrophe since the Iraq War. The vacuum would be filled by Russia and/or China, and the Middle East would grow even more unstable and chaotic. It could easily wreck Trump's presidency. Notice that the people who are pushing back against the prevailing narrative with respect to Jamal Khashoggi are almost exclusively those who genuinely support Trump's agenda and want him to succeed. People like Rush Limbaugh, Scott Adams, Lou Dobbs, people on the dissident right. The Khashoggi incident is being used by anti-Trump elites in order to damage and, if possible, destroy Donald Trump's presidency. However, it's important to remember that there is a glimmer of good news in this story. If the anti-Trump movement is so desperate that they are willing to turn on the formerly untouchable Saudi Arabia, it means that they are either very worried, very stupid, or both. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and follow me on Gab and Minds.com. Links in the description below. This channel, like any channel, could be terminated at any moment, and in this Huxleyan era of corporatist censorship, it's important to have a backup platform or two. Thanks for watching.